Good evening. We want to start with the breaking news. A press conference right now in Philadelphia on the shooter situation. Let's listen.
Got officers shot in various parts of their body, but fortunately, everybody's going to be okay. We have 3 here. We have 3 at Einstein. We have a couple officers that were actually injured responding to the scene. I will tell you, having been at that scene for the last couple of hours, trying to talk to this male, he continues to fire rounds out of the window. So this situation is in no way resolved. I wanted to come and give you some kind of update to let you know where we are, but we are trying to talk to this male, trying to let him know that he can end this peacefully now. We've called him multiple times. He has picked up the phone a couple times, but he has not answered. So we've been trying to work with a family member, but right now we have not been successful. Despite several attempts to talk to him, both on a loudspeaker, on a bullhorn, and on telephone, we have not been able to make contact with him thus far. We're trying to get him to come out peacefully, but right now he refuses to do so. I have to get back over to the scene. I will answer a few brief questions, and then the mayor may have some comment, and others may have comment. But right now, I have to get back over because the critical thing to tell you that I did not tell you is I have, some situations where I'm worried about potential hostage situations. So we've got to get that resolved. All right,
Commissioner, can you tell us how the 2 officers who are inside, are they doing? Have you any insight into their well-being?
We believe they're okay, and I'm not going to say much more about that right now, out of concern for their safety right now. So we believe that this male is in a certain part of the building. I won't tell you where he is right now, so that I don't endanger the officers on the scene in any way. But it is a very volatile situation that is still unfolding. So as a result, there's but so much I can tell you about what's going on inside of that property, save for the fact that even when I was on scene, he fired multiple rounds, many of which that struck the SWAT truck and buildings across the street. And that's long after I got there, long after it started. So he was continued to fire. It is of grave concern to us, but we're trying to communicate to him that we want him out safely. Even going as far as telling him that the officers are going to be okay and that there's nothing that we can't work through. But right now, we are not successful. So I'm going to get back over there. I'll answer just a few questions, and then I got to get back over there.
Have you spoken to any of the officers' families?
You're talking about the injuries?
Yeah,
that's what I just went in there.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance because of proximity to make it to Einstein. I'll get up there a little later. Thankfully, everybody's going to be okay. I did speak to all 3 that are here. And they're all in good spirits, but we're concerned about this whole situation.
Commissioner, do you think there's just one shooter?
Right now, we're not sure, and so I don't want to say that and be wrong, nor from a tactical standpoint do we want to make that assumption.
Commissioner, is there anyone in custody at this time?
There were people who were taken into custody initially, okay? And there may be even someone in custody inside, but right now what we know is this male is holed up inside, and he is not, since I've come here in the last 20 minutes or so, there's no indication that he's trying to surrender right now. We do know he's still alive. There's no question about that because of the shots that keep ringing out. So we're very concerned about, the neighborhood. We're very concerned about our police officers. But again, we're doing everything within our power to get him to come out. All right.
Commissioner, you said you've been in touch with his family. What are they saying about this?
Well, I mean, what we're just trying to do right now is do as much as we can to resolve this peacefully. And so without getting into all of that at this point, we're trying to use and leverage everything possible. Multiple attempts to talk to him by myself and others, trying to assure him that I'm out front, and that he has the highest assurance he's not going to be harmed when he comes out. But normally I wouldn't even take this posture, but I got police officers in a very volatile situation. And, I've got to be where my people are. That's the bottom line. So I have to get back over there. Mayor, I don't know if you want to say something.
Well, I had the opportunity to just speak to the 6 officers. They're all in good spirits, and obviously it was a very traumatic experience for them. I was talking to one of the officers who had the graze wound to the head, and he had 2 little boys that looked like they were 9 or 10 years old, 8 or 9 years old, and kept on thinking about how their lives would have changed just with a little bit more difference in space. Our concern right now is for them and for their families, and we'll sort out all the other stuff once the scene has been resolved over at the shooting where the shooting took place. We're thankful. A little angry about someone having all that weaponry and all that firepower, but we'll get to that another day. It's all about the officers and their families right now, and God bless them and God save them all. Thank you.
Well, you heard from Philadelphia Police Commissioner Richard Ross, who described the situation tonight there as volatile. 6 officers shot in North Philadelphia this evening that we know about. All 6 are in hospitals, not life-threatening conditions, we're told. 2 officers reportedly remain inside the building, perhaps trapped inside the building at the standoff. That's according to the Philadelphia Inquirer, which spoke with the Philadelphia Police Commissioner. And the police commissioner there indicating that there also may be suspects handcuffed in custody inside the building, possibly with those police officers in one part of the building. Philadelphia police, through their Twitter account, say they're attempting to communicate with the shooter. You heard the commissioner there saying that he personally has attempted to communicate with this shooter, so far unsuccessfully. The shooter, according to the commissioner, shows no sign of wanting to surrender. In fact, for hours now, the police department has been sending out updates via Twitter in which they say that this shooter continues to fire at police, to fire out of this structure. And you heard the commissioner there saying that some of those shots have hit the SWAT vehicle. This is being described as an active situation. It certainly appears that way from the outside as well. Many details right now unclear at this moment. I want to bring in our senior justice correspondent, Evan Perez. Evan, let's talk, first of all, a little bit as dusk is falling, as night is coming in Philadelphia. That only adds a whole other layer for police on the scene. The difficulty, I guess they will have to light up the area. They are trying to get the shooter to talk, trying to assure the shooter or perhaps shooters, they said there could be more than one, that they will not be harmed if they come out. What do we know about how all of this began, Evan?
Well, according to the police, this began as some kind of a narcotics call that these officers were responding to. Now, we don't know exactly what the details are of that, Anderson. We don't know if they were doing some kind of operation to try to buy drugs from someone in order to essentially set up a case or bring charges against someone. But it appears that the suspect or suspects was expecting these officers, and the officers were certainly caught unawares. And so the chief there just described I think he was the police commissioner. He just described a situation where officers were having to bail out of windows trying to escape with their lives, and it appears that at least 2 officers remain inside the building. Now, a short while ago, one of the reporters from our local affiliate, KYW, talked to 4 women who were being taken outside of the building, of that same building. They said that they were on the 2nd floor. They seemed obviously extremely shaken up. And the police just described also the fact that there were people who were initially taken away from the scene, people who perhaps were arrested. So this appears to be a police operation that suddenly unraveled and went horribly wrong because this shooter, or perhaps more than one, opened fire. And as he said, I mean, we were watching some of this, Anderson, unfold, especially in the past hour. He was firing outside through the front door, through the front window. We were told by sources that he was firing through the walls. So again, this is a very volatile situation. It makes it very hard for the SWAT team to go in when you know you have officers who are trapped somewhere inside that building. Makes it a lot more difficult to come up with a tactical plan to attack this situation.
I just want to point out to our viewers, we are obviously also aware that it is very possible the shooter, or if there is more than one in that building, has access to a television or to a radio and may be monitoring coverage of this. And so we are being very select in what we are saying about any kind of tactical situation,
right.
And even some of the pictures we are showing. We obviously are very cautious about showing anything that if somebody is watching who is involved in this from inside, we don't want to give them any sort of information. It is the police who are the ones who are really hoping to be communicating with this person. Is it clear if this is a single family structure, or these are 2, 3, sometimes 4-level homes in this area in Philly? Do we know, is this a single family or is it multiple separate dwellings?
Well, earlier, Anderson, when there was daylight, we could see that it appeared to be a two-story above-ground structure. We don't know if there's a basement. We don't know how many units there are. It appears that there is more than one unit. Again, there was a reporter who talked to 4 women who were brought out of at least one unit in the building. They said they lived on the second floor. So it appears that the suspect is somewhere else in this building. It's not a very large building. These appear to be row houses that have been converted into apartments. This is an area just north of Center City, Philadelphia, Anderson. It's near Temple University Hospitals. There's a lot of healthcare facilities nearby. And so again, this is an area, this is a residential neighborhood. It appears that this is 2 stories above ground. We don't know whether or not there's a basement unit at all, but
Right.
It does appear to be multiple units in this building.
Right, and earlier there had been reporting in local media in Philadelphia talking about location perhaps of the 2 police officers who are inside, and the police this time around are not giving any details for very obvious reasons. They do not want to give away any location of anybody, law enforcement or the alleged shooter and or shooters or anyone who may be involved. I want to bring in more law enforcement analysts and experts. Joining us is former Philadelphia Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey and retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Galliano. Both are CNN law enforcement analysts. Chief Ramsey, this is your town. You know it well. You know this police force. Can you just talk about what they are doing right now and how difficult does this become as light goes down?
Well, they've established a perimeter, getting civilians out of the way and media out of the way so that they can secure that area best they can. The SWAT team is on site now. I do know that the FBI and ATF have responded. I don't know if they're SWAT teams or not, but I know that the Philadelphia Police SWAT team is certainly there. Again, this individual is still shooting, and to add to the complication, heavy rains are going to come in about half an hour into the Philadelphia area. So that's going to cause even further complications. But they'll continue to talk to this guy and try to get him out peacefully. But if it gets to a point where they feel those officers that are trapped inside are in danger, they'll have to do what they have to do to get them out of there. Now, nighttime certainly can be your friend, but it also can be your enemy. But they do have capability, low light visual capability, so that shouldn't interfere too much with them.
James Galliano, you know, we've talked about active shooter situations where now the strategy is don't wait for the SWAT team, go in, neutralize the threat. When there are hostages or perhaps hostages involved, that changes the dynamic.
3 different types here we're dealing with. You and I have talked, it seems like, way too many times about active shooter situations. This is either a barricaded subject or a barricaded subject with hostage. Both are treated completely differently. To Chief Ramsey's point, you want a perimeter. You want anybody to be able to ingress and egress. This looks to me, from the number of officers that were shot, and thankfully none of them with any life-threatening wounds, it looks like it was a felony drug warrant. And that happens hundreds upon hundreds of times across cities, across America, every single day.
Police showing up,
knock and announce warrant, and going in, and if the subject doesn't open their door, and in this instance, obviously they were engaged. Now, the only other option is it could have been maybe a buy bust, where an undercover agent or an undercover informant went there to purchase drugs, something went wrong, and the police responded as backup, and then this happened. The fact that the subject barricaded himself inside, you've got police officers now that are either pinned down or unable to extricate themselves. 3 things have to be on scene. An on-scene commander that can make that call, and that could have been the Philadelphia police chief. If the feds move in and take over, that would be an on-scene commander being a special agent in charge from the FBI. There has to be hostage negotiators. Those are the people that are trying to talk. We heard from the police spokesperson. He has refused to speak to them. That is never a good sign. So from the negotiation standpoint, get somebody from the family, get somebody that has intimate knowledge of this person, somebody that can hopefully be that buffer and talk to him. And third, tactical response. If there are no hostages, surround the place and wait. Time is on your side. If there are hostages and any indication that one of them are going to be hurt, the good guys are going to go in and get him.
Yeah, Chief Ramsey, the other, the difficult part also is, I mean, again, if this was a drug-related, effort earlier, There's no telling the condition that the shooter and/or shooters are in, whether they're, have actually taken drugs themselves. That obviously adds a whole other layer of complication.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know the answer to that. He could be on something, or he could just be a violent individual that just does not want to be taken, So they don't really know. Bottom line is, he's heavily armed, apparently. I mean, this thing's been going on for 3 hours. There have been numerous rounds. Someone said over 100 rounds fired. So clearly, he has a lot of ammunition, and he has no intention of surrendering peacefully at this point in time. Hopefully that changes. Hopefully no one else gets injured. But this is going to be a long night if he doesn't. So, we'll just have to wait to see what unfolds. But they're not going to let anybody else get hurt.
Yeah, we're going to keep a very close eye on what is happening right now in Philadelphia throughout this program for the next 2 hours that we're on the air.